Okay, storytelling Ron here. We're going to talk about some stuff. So, media forgets to mention that the New York City bombers were Muslims inspired by ISIS. Politicians blame white supremacy. So, why do they do this? Why does the left join with Islam? Why do they keep doing this? Why do they know the truth, but they're just not going to say it? So two Muslims yelling Allah Akbar through bombs. These bombs are the same devices that were used in many European bombings. Same type of explosives, supposedly. I'm just going through this. And then I believe these women had to correct the information that was being out there. The creepy thing this is the perfect kind of analogy of the left and Islam. Islamo-Marxism is what I'm calling this. So there's a leftist here talking about, I guess, tolerance, but not for us Christian conservatives, for us Christians. And then comes the Muslim guy, uses the left, right, as their to leap upon and over to throw a bomb. And of course, the left is in shock. And they're confused. I mean, that's the incredible naivete of the left. They don't know history. They don't know what they have a history, but this is a clear example of history where the left always fights against Jesus Christ. They fight against Jesus Christ, and I'm a Calvinist, so they're going to. And then evil comes along and takes over. And they're with violence. See, he runs off, and look at them. Huh? What? They're confused. Huh? That's the left, and the left is always going to be fooled by evil, taken over by evil. Because the evil just attacks when it desires to attack, right? And throws bombs when you least expect it, and yells out who they worship. So the left here is confused, and they're going to keep protesting. But then they're going to keep doing what they do, because the bomb apparently didn't detonate or didn't do what it was supposed to do, which was kill and maim people. And these on the left are like, huh, just a little confused. But they don't represent us. They don't represent us. Well, you're the reason they have the power they have. The left is the reason Islam has the power it has. As you can see throughout history, and look at today, now that we have Trump in office, because we have Trump in office and because he's a strong Christian, I don't consider him to be a strong Christian. I consider him to be giving Christians the platform. I consider him. I guess I do consider him to be a strong Christian, not a perfect Christian, and not even theologically perfect. And I know he's following some strange Christian leaders, but he also has some really good Christian leaders. And he's a big target. I'm not the target. I'm not being persecuted the way he is. He's being persecuted like a Christian. And he's being persecuted by the same people who hate Christ. So put that in your consideration or whatever. In your prayers. How about that? Put that in your prayers. The reason that countries are folding and flopping is because he's just confronting evil. He's rebuking evil openly, and he's confronting it. And what I love about Trump too is that he is teaching us how to fight, because he has to. I mean, in his first term, and he learned it the hard way, right? The first term, he was trying to work with the left and Democrats, and look what happened. They undermined him. They betrayed him. They got him to do the lockdowns. It was all Democrats and leftists who came at the very last minute in panic. We have to do this for 2 weeks, and got him to believe in this, and all of us to give up everything, our rights, our future, our joys, our freedoms, our churches. They got us to give up everything for a lie. And they know it, and they're smiling today. They're not even smiling because they got away with that, but they did get away with that. They're smiling because they're insane. They're evil and they're wicked, and they're going to keep doing it again. They're looking for the next way to shut us down, because they are the followers of Satan. They're children of Satan, and they have no choice. I'm a Calvinist. They have no choice. They were built this way. They're going to continually be wicked. The answer is, like I always say, you got to go to church. You got to rebuild your church, and you have to rebuke evil. You can't convert evil, but what you can do to evil is subdue it. Subdue it. Get it to chill the F out. We will never get these people to go to heaven, in my narrow-minded view. This right here, this look, is one of, well, I'm going to keep doing what I do because this, is just a fluke. Yet throughout history, this has always been the case. This right here has always been the case of evil, and then these other evils are their footstool. Right? They're going to step on them as soon as the footstools are placed down. The evil is going to run up and jump on it and use it as their footstool and jump and throw their bombs. Whatever they can do. Those guys look inbred too. And look at this. They look really inbred and weak and pissant. All these leftists are saying, happy to know our mayor and first lady are safe, but horrified they are such a disturbing threat of violence outside their residence. Vile displays of Islamophobia will never be tolerated. Why can't we have vile displays of Islamophobia? It's freedom of speech. And we have a Muslim mayor who's a Muslim. Aren't we allowed to criticize our mayor and Islam? Yesterday, white supremacists, Jake Lang, organized a protest. Such hate has no place in New York. It's an affront to our city's values. So because the percent of churchgoers across Europe is less than 5%, and in America it's 30% or less. And even that, the quality of it is questionable. And I'm going to get to that here in a sec. New York is no place for anti-Muslim hate or any other kind of prejudice. So this guy's a Muslim throwing bombs. And the Democrats are going after us, Christians. She's doing the Norm tweet. Norm MacDonald, who's a Christian, who became out Christian in the end. What terrifies me is if ISIS were to detonate a nuclear device and kill 50 million Americans. Imagine the backlash against peaceful Muslims. There is no peaceful Muslim. There's no moderate Muslim. Either as a Muslim, you're either a slave or you're the warrior. The warrior's about 10%, 5%, but they need a huge slave class of Muslims to support them. Money, everything else is subjugation. And here's the guys, and they just look, plenty of people look like this, but they look inbred to me. And this is the home. How the heck did they get this home? One of them, that's their home. I think we need to look into that. Look at this home. Wow. I don't have a home like this. I mean, I live in Hollywood. It's hard to get a home like that in here, but dang, look at that home. That's an American home. Man. I'm glad they're rating it. But the left will always choose Islam over Christ. Always choose Islam over Christ. And we can't be confused by that or surprised by that. So when you vote for Democrats, when you vote for the left, you're voting for Islam. You're voting for Islamo-Marxism, and you're voting for the loss of your freedom and your family's freedom and your children's freedom. And as a church, if you don't go to church, this is what's coming. The left and Islam, and that's a perfect. I gotta say this. This is the perfect image of them. In my pictures, great memes. The left and Islam. That's a perfect. This right here too. Look at that. That guy, huh? I don't understand. I'm just I just don't want conservative Christian white supremacists to do things. I just don't want white Christian supremacist fascists to be able to speak out or vote or have politicians or vote in Trump or do things with Trump. That's all. I just don't want that. And this is what is coming right down the pipeline, right behind his derriere. And speaking of derrieres, this is Christianity too. That these false Christians pretending to be Christian this David French guy. I find this guy incredibly annoying, not because I follow him or know anything about him, but because in my conservative circles they keep bringing him up as this voice of the left Christian, the undermining Christian. I wish we would just ignore him, but obviously they have power. This guy, James Taylor is continually, any sort of false Christian is continually propped up in the media, in the left media, and then of course the conservative media brings it up as well, and they gain power, which can't be surprised by this. But they always undermine every thing about Christ, and then use Christ as their thing. So I just want to bring up this. Yeah, this really gets me under my skin. The Christians like this. He's promoting a guy who's promoting trans, abortions. God is non-binary. I mean, 6 genders. You guys also. Why did I just do that? Okay. We need abortion clinics in federal courthouses so trans people can have abortions. Also, all religions, include Islam, lead to God. This man is a picture of Christian decency. So that's what we're up against. You got to get to church. You got to make sure that you support your pastors and fight against this. Don't allow this kind of Christianity or false Christianity into the churches. This is what's going to happen. Even apparently the staff of Billy Graham's Christianity Today believe the same, and they're becoming left wing. I bought a book, Megan. Shoot, where is it? Where Megan Bashan writes about how they, a lot of even conservative churches, even today, and it's even it was supported by John MacArthur as well. Where is it? Hold on, let me pause and go get it. Okay, so a lot of books, a lot of shepherds for sale. So new evangelical leaders are being paid off. And we got John MacArthur on here. I don't know why Ben Shapiro's on here, but Molly Hemingway, Vodi Baucham, Vodi Baucham and John MacArthur are both gone. They're with the Lord. So this book is about they got to come after the churches. The left has got to come after the churches. They know they got to undermine us as Christians, and I'm not worried about it. By the way, you know why I'm not worried about it? Because I go to a great little church. We are strong and joyful, and we see the evil, we see this wickedness, and we talk about it, and we talk about the Lord. And I, whenever I see people on, especially on X, complaining about Islam taking over Europe, complaining about the things that are going on, I ask them, first thing is, you going to church? That's sort of a take. Because if you're not going to church, who's going to fight against this? Do you expect a Republican politician to fight against it when there are no churches backing him? Do you expect Republicans to fight against this evil if no churches are backing him in his local precinct or area or whatever? When we churches are silent or not part of the political discussion, the public sphere, who's going to fight this? Who's going to fight abortions and drag queen hour and mutilation of our children? I know the Republicans are. The Democrats are not. They're supporting it. They're evil. They're children of Satan. They're supporting it. But these Republicans that are supporting it, how much do you think they're going to be able to fight without you and I as churches? No one else, the universities, do you think they're going to fight it? The any sort of nonprofit, do you think nonprofit NGOs, are they going to fight it? Are they going to fight the butchering of our children? Who's going to fight this? The church. Republicans can't do this alone. And I think that's absurd to think that that's how we're going to solve this. Is, well, we got to get them to pass laws. Well, are you supporting the politician that's going to try to make these laws? Or are you just praying in your church and hiding away? I don't think God wants us to just pray. I mean, prayer is powerful. I do agree it is. But who's the ones that are going to go out there and support them? Because the left is using politicians and organizations, and they're paying off. And look at this. These guys are openly supporting this candidate. James Taylor. These are like, I don't know if David French is a freaking part of a church or what, but he's some sort of Christian voice. And he writes articles for someone, and who, and he's openly using Christianity to support the left. Do we as churches openly use our Christianity to support the right and politicians on the right and Republicans on the right? You know, even my own pastor said, we have missionaries that we support across the world, and we're a small church, but we do support a little bit of things. And every church around the world that's being persecuted is because of the government. So he understands that. He's like, dang, it's like everywhere that we are persecuted, it's the government doing it. And he feels like we need to do something, but we're a small church and we're building that up. But he wants trans abortions, but he praises Jesus while doing it, and that's good enough for you. The Reagan evangelical to blue-haired barista politics pipeline will be studied for years to come. Great stuff, David. Keep it up. So these people are horrific. I really hate this stuff. But let's move on. So here's another one. I read the call for left-wing Christians against the right-wing white Christian nationalists or whatever, and I read it, so you don't have to. I skimmed it more than read it, but there's nothing. It's all the left-wing talking points, and he's all. I asked. There's nothing about abortion. There's nothing about illegals, the immigrants. It's all about immigrants. There's nothing about illegals in their call to fight the right or whatever. There's nothing about abortions. There's nothing about homosexuality. There's nothing about the drag queens or the surgeries on children. It's all about stopping the policies that millions of Americans voted for, and obviously the majority of Christians voted for, to have us have laws, a nation, and he's using Christianity. They're using Christianity to try and get us to surrender to the left. Surrender to the left, who will be this. This is the left that they want us to surrender to. And I'm not going to do that. I'm never going to do this. I'm never going to be this guy. I am never going to be that guy. I am never going to be this idiot right here. That idiot. Where's the other idiot? This idiot right here. I'm never going to be this. I'm never going to be, no. Islam is evil. I'm going to be nice to Muslims face to face, but I'm going to tell them their religion is false. And it's a slavery. So here are Afghan Christians fleeing Taliban face deadly threats in neighboring Muslim countries. So all across Asia, all across the Middle East, Christians are being persecuted. They're being raped. They don't have any rights in Islamic countries. There's like 60 Islamic countries where Christians don't have rights. So that means that when they get raped, when the women get raped, gang raped, when the women get raped, they have no rights. And usually they're abducted and taken away. And the judges will give the Muslims the Christian women. When they get raped. This will never be reported. It's not being reported in England. When they're getting gang raped, it's not being reported across the country. When Muslims abduct and take women, when they do honor killings, when they beat to death women in Iran, that is not being reported in this Iran war. When they get raped, that there's nothing being reported. It's not being exposed. Islam will always be the thing that they support. The Democrats will support Islam and rape of Christian women. That's what we're up against. Please understand that. What's the most powerful thing you can do? Go to church. Build up your church. Make men, Christian nationalist men, who will go out and rebuke this at our local level, in our school boards, in our city councils, becoming part of the school board and city councils. White Christian nationalists. Well, I don't care about the white part. Christian nationalists. They're just going to call us white no matter what color we are. Christian nationalists. Men, and I prefer men because I wish women, I'm sad when women do it. A lot of strong women, I agree, but I don't think women want to do it. I think they're being forced to do it because men won't. If there was enough men doing it, the women like, fine, great, I want to go home and enjoy the real life. We need Christian nationalist men and churches again. Now, what's going on today with the false Christians and the false Christianity, and I'm okay with it though. In one sense, I'm okay with it because we're being sorted. If the U.S. used to be like 97% Christian or whatever, and that's obviously not true, right? So God is sorting us. He's sorting us, and He wants us to know exactly who He is when the time comes. But whatever, that's just the way it is. I'm fine with it either way, but go to church. If you're a Christian and you're frustrated with what's going on in the world, you got to go to church, and you got to get fellowship, and you got to look for ways to build up your church, because that's the heaven on earth, because there's hell everywhere. Now there were also false prophets among the people, just as there will be false teachers among you, which is what posted and what you'll always be seeing. They will secretly introduce destructive heresies. See, they will secretly introduce destructive heresies, secretly bringing them in there, and secretly meaning that they're going to deceive you. They're going to make you think, even denying the master who bought them, bringing swift destruction on themselves. So here's where I'm getting a little meanie, or little. I wonder if God has a bunch of VHS tapes of all this. Where we can go in and pull out these VHS tapes and watch every one of these false Christians and their demise and what happens to them. Probably it's either going to be some comedies or some horror movies or whatever, but many will follow in their depravity, and because of them, the way of truth will be defamed. In their greed, these false teachers will exploit you with deceptive words. The long-standing verdict against them remains in force, and their destruction does not sleep. So in the end, they're gonna get it. They're denying Jesus Christ. They're denying the truth for abortion, for homosexuality, for losing our freedom to worship God. We can't even raise our own children. They're taking away. They're denying let me just go to the 10 Commandments. The 10 Commandments is the truth, by the way. When you say, what is the truth? The 10 Commandments, if you're like, oh, what is the truth? The truth is telling the truth. Well, what is the truth? The truth is the 10 Commandments. That's the truth. Honoring the mother and father. They don't do that. Thou shalt not steal. They steal from us. They take us our money. There's a whole grift by their politicians, and that's the same with coveting. They want to own our business, tell us how to run our business. They want to own our home and tell us how to build things in our home and control us, all in the guise of safety. But no, it's continually taxing us, taking from us, they want our children. That's coveting as well. They want to bear false witness. They want to continually call us white supremacists, fascists. I think that we need to have Jesus and his teachings in the halls of governance. You fascist, you're white supremacist. They always want to say that we're evil when we're just, man, we just want peace. We just want our freedom. We want our individual rights. That's a Christian belief. Individual rights, chivalry, freedom is a Christian belief. It is not a pagan or Democrat or worldly belief at all. The worldly belief is Islamo-Marxism. This is the worldly belief. This is the default worldly belief right here. This is it. You got some that portents of peace and coexistence, and then their true leaders coming out. Prime Minister Starmer takes a knee to Islam. He's this guy. He is the footstool of evil, any kind of evil. Islam is the flavor of the day. I mean, it's been around quite a while. Islam is like Satan's perfect response to Christianity, because it's very difficult to, without Jesus intervening. Obviously, you cannot reason with as a Muslim. They are all into rituals and power and violence. My pastor and another guy at my church who are very better than I am academically in the word. And oh man, in 10 years, Islam's going to collapse because it makes no sense, and people are getting more access to the Quran so they could read it, and really it makes no sense. And I'm like, well, do you really think that they're Muslim because it makes sense? Muslims are not Muslim because of the Quran. They're Muslim because of the power and the hatred, and that they can go out and terrorize and kill and hate and enslave and rape and be addicted to porn. They want that power, and they want to hurt. And not just hurt, they want to rape and kill. They don't just want to kill. They want to rape you. They want to make you feel so ashamed and humiliated before they kill you. For if God did not spare the angels when they sinned, but cast them deep into hell, placing them in chains of darkness to be held for judgment, if he did not spare the ancient world when he brought the flood on its ungodly people, but preserved Noah, a preacher of righteousness among the eight, if he condemned the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah to destruction, reducing them to ashes as an example of what is coming on the ungodly, and if he rescued Lot, a righteous man distressed by depraved conduct of lawless, for that righteous man, living among them day after day, was tormented in his righteous soul by the lawless deeds he saw and heard. He had no church, he had nowhere to go. If all this is so, then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials and to hold the unrighteous for punishment on the day of judgment. So it's coming, and it is all about these false teachers. It's about in the church. They will secretly introduce heresies. So that means they're going into churches. They will use false teachers and exploit you with deceptive words. So the Bible's already telling us this is going to happen. The Bible's already telling us that these woke people are going to be using deceptive words and heresies. That there's going to be people like this who there's going to be these David Frenches or this guy, and he's going to be continually doing what he does. And James Tallarico saying trans is good. Trans, non-binary, 6 genders, no prisons. It's so go to church, support your church, use my game if you want to. Just relax a little, but build up the church. You need to build a strong church, a refuge for children, especially for children. Come in and find their courage, build up their courage to go up against this. To go up against this false Christians and the people that jump on their backs and use violence and torture and rape. You need to build churches of our strong future generation of men and women, girls and boys, teaching them, honoring the father and the mother. We honor the father and the mother. What does that mean? Well, we don't rape people. It's not part of our religion. Even in victory, we don't rape people. We don't rape girls or boys. We are of Jesus Christ. So go to church, build up your church, find a good church, make sure that the pastor is opening up the Bible. Is homosexuality a sin? Is it man and woman marriage? It's really simple to find a good church. I am a conservative. I am looking for a church that will help get conservative candidates, or I understand that's a touchy, crappy subject, but you have to just say, don't get angry, all right? Don't be at peace with it. Try to build up something in there. We should have a political group, but the political group should be on a Tuesday night, once a month. Joining it, we don't have one at my church, but that's one of the things I want to do. I just became a deacon, so I'm working on different things that I want to do, and that's one of them, where I want to have a Tuesday night. But it's all not everyone needs. I know it's going to be contentious too, even amongst the deacons. This little thing I want to do, but but I'm going to pursue it. But I'm using patience, calm. Going to use their words against them. I mean, in a sense of Pastor, you said you need it. We know we need to be politically active, but I want to make sure that the rules are and the behavior of the group is a certain level, policy based. Very pro-life, marriage, homeschooling, freedoms, freedom of religion. If a nation has a freedom of religion, a real freedom of religion, not if it has a real freedom, Christians will win every time. If we have an even playing field, Christians will win every time, and the Democrats know that, and Islam knows that. That's why they kill and imprison. That's why they create laws. There is not a separation of church and state. That is an absolute lie. Our church is regulated over and over. We can't do charities because of all the regulations by Democrats. We're constantly in fear of the tax thing, even though I know Trump has lightened that load, so that we can. Remember, before Trump, we couldn't speak about politicians at our church because that's the state tax regulation. So where's the separation of church and state? We can't run a school. We can't, and we invented these things. We can't run an orphanage as a church. Churches were built on charities. We did all this stuff. We invented the orphanage. We invented the schools. We invented the hospitals. We invented the homeless things. The hospitaliers, Templars and the hospitaliers. The hospitaliers were the first to create hospital ships and go around and help people like at earthquakes and stuff in the Middle Ages, and no one ever heard of that. Christians. The Christian hospitals in the Middle East, all those hospitals, guess who ran them? Because there were Christians and ancient Christians before Islam. And guess who took them over? Islam took them over. But guess who ran them and who the Muslims said we should let them run it because they can do it and we can't? Christians. In the Arab world, in the Islamic world, Christians, the ones that were left, were allowed to run the hospitals. And that's where some Muslims were forcibly converted. There's 2 Christian ships on the east and west side of Africa called Mercy ships, big cruise line looking ships that run free hospital care, run all on charities and I'm whatever money they're getting, but they're big ships, run big operations, helping people of Africa. Is there Muslim ships that are hospitals running around helping people? I know they got billions of dollars and from all these Islamic regimes that have no freedoms, from all their oil money that they're getting from us. Are they running a bunch of Mercy ships anywhere? I don't know. If you know of any, let me know, please, in the comments. But I don't know of any. I know that what they are doing is funding mosques all across America. I know they're doing that. Are there churches here being funded by governments? I don't know, but I know that mosques are being funded by Islamic governments across the world, in America. So we're in the fight. Go to church. If you're wondering how to fight this, go to church. Build up your church and make sure it's a strong church and a godly church. All right, I gotta do some more work here. Gotta get some work done. But I'm just, game of life. Roll holy dice and enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's a fun adventure. That's why I play this game. It makes me church is enjoyable. I enjoy it now. It's fun. It's silly. I bring levity to the group and the things I do now, and I even do announcements on the church service and prayer, before the service or before the sermon. Anyway, all right. Game of life. Roll holy dice.